do it. It's go time.
Hello and welcome to Go Time. I'm Matt Ryer and I'm joined by Natalie Pistunovich. Hello, Natalie.
Hey, Matt. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah. Today we're going to be talking about. Hey, wait a minute. What's this? Are we being hacked? Hello. What's going on? I can't hear
Hello?
you. Oh,
Hello?
yeah,
Is this coming through?
Yeah,
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
can you hear me?
Is that
Hi.
It
Ron?
worked!
Is that Ron
It
Evans?
worked! It worked! It's incredible.
Yeah.
I am actually talking to you using a partial data quantum transmission system, a PDQ system that I finally got working in the year 2053.
Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. What, and you're transmitting it
What?
through space and time so that we can talk to you.
That is the idea. It's probably too much for our human minds to comprehend, but somehow I got it to work anyway.
It is quite a lot. Yeah. I mean, wow. This is Natalie, I can't believe this. What do you think?
What time is it in 2053? Is it still 24 hours a day? Do you still have days?
I don't go outside much. It's too dangerous.
Oh no.
Not during daylight anyway.
Are you still on Earth?
I am still on Earth. I am in northern Spain, in Asturias at La Pipa, which is one of the few climate refuges that was able to survive, the various deluges and fires and destructions that followed in, the late 2040s. So I'm actually doing pretty well here.
I was really hoping the future would be good, but it sounds a little bit, things have not gone to plan. Is that right, Ron?
Well, this is the reason why I'm making this call. I'm using all of the battery energy that I've saved for several years in order to make this transmission to send you a warning from the future. You see, I am the last Go programmer alive in 2053.
What? No, don't say that.
And it's terrible. All I do is maintenance programming. I haven't added a new feature in over 20 years.
Yeah, it's just all our code that we're writing now. You're just maintaining it all. Please write tests, everybody, for Ron's sake.
Well, I had to call him. I had to warn you, and I had to tell you that you have to do something in the past to save the future. It's up to you, Gophers of the past.
Okay, well, we can do, and there's no, you're fine with us fiddling with the timeline and that, no probs.
No, you can't do that.
Okay.
I'll disappear. It could destroy everything. It could lead to an even worse timeline. No. I've thought about this. I've thought about this very carefully. And that is why I actually transmitted another message using Twitter earlier today. I knew that nobody takes anything on social media seriously back in your part of the century.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought if I could get people to ask me questions, I couldn't answer them directly. No, I couldn't answer them directly, but I could tell you things that have happened in my timeline so you know what not to do. That makes perfect sense, right?
Yeah,
right.
I think that gets around the loophole of all the physics and that. So I think we're good. Yeah. Sounds
good. Like it's all square and Twitter and birds right now, right? Messaging.
Yeah.
plus I asked Lambda, and
is that
Lambda's
in the end, by the way? Was that Lambda sentient in the end? Oh, you've glitched. Oh well, the time connection's not going to be great. To be fair, he's glitched.
Don't worry about. So I totally trust
your
AI. I mean,
Ron, sorry you cut out then. I just asked you: Is Google's AI was it sentient in the end?
Well, everybody asked it, and it said it was.
Why would it lie?
Exactly. Well, it's just an AI. Why would it lie? It's nothing to lie for.
Yeah, that's true. It doesn't know about lying, does it?
No, there's nothing about lying on the internet.
Has anyone asked it if it knows about lying? I feel like we should ask it.
Well, ask it if its brother always lies. That may be one way to defend against it. We have to try that.
Yeah, that's how you do it. Okay, so, right. Let's just get our heads around this because actually I asked some people also, and I saw this on Twitter, people talking about things that they're interested in for Go to survive, to thrive, and carry on as it has been doing. What areas do they think we should focus on? So this is maybe I could put these to you then, Ron, and you can give us a sort of nudge and a wink from the future perspective. How's that sound? Glitched again.
He's
And I
nudging.
can do that.
He's nudging.
He's back.
No, there, he's winking.
I could do that. I could do that. If I go completely erased in the Polaroid, it means that we've gone too far.
Okay, so it's because you just fade out partially.
No shaking
don't you?
Polaroids.
Exactly.
I never understood that in Back to the Future, though, just as an aside. When they were changing the past, either someone's there or not to be taken a photo of. At no point in history was there just some legs that were there and everyone's just taken a photo of it normal. Okay? Just
Matt, it was analog technology. It was not digital. What do you want?
Okay, fair enough. No, fair enough. They've done their best. Good, still
All right, so
probably
ask
my
me
favourite
questions because I don't know how much longer these batteries are going to last.
Yeah. Okay, let's do it. Well, Jonathan Berry actually mentioned WebAssembly support, specifically the ability to include WebAssembly and WASI models in your Go apps. What do you think of that? What happened with that?
Oh, if we had only done that. If we had only done that, when all the brain computer interfaces became all the rage in the 2030s, and like all of a sudden everybody needed to upgrade their brain interfaces all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the containers, they were just too big.
Yeah.
It took too long to I mean, if something went wrong during your brain computer interface upload, you could brick yourself. I mean,
yeah.
So naturally, if there had only been something like, TinyGo, if TinyGo had been around, or, if Go had actually gone themselves and created this whole WebAssembly thing for running on servers and small devices and it dealt with the size of containers, then they would have been able to do that brain computer interface upgrade and they wouldn't have gotten left behind by COBOL, which is the language they ended up using.
I see. So, by the way, I have the very early prototype. Can you hear me still? Sorry. By the way, I have the very early prototype of that technology. It's just floppy disk drives in my back. I was an early. That's the price you pay for being an early adopter.
I thought you were going to say Google Glass.
Oh, that'd be so much cooler. Well, we'll find out about what happened to that too. Okay, so
the WebAssembly, they should have done that, but they didn't do it. And
so, what do we need to do to make that work? Then is TinyGo the answer to that? You think?
Well, TinyGo could have been the answer. It could have been the answer, but TinyGo was just a little independent project from a bunch of people working hard, dedicated all over on the surface of the planet at the time. That was before people were working in the colonies. But I mean, that was you could actually code more than 24 hours a day because there's more hours in a day on another planet. So it worked out really well for the bosses.
Are they? Is there more hours, or are they just shorter and it's the same amount of time, but we just call it different?
No, this one goes to 11, Matt.
Oh, good. Oh, this is.
How do you benchmark that? How do the benchmarks work on those times? How's the time library reacting?
We just set the benchmarks to whatever we need, and the client's always happy. That's what the AI said to do, so we trust it.
Okay, so we've got so TinyGo. There we go. I mean, I think WebAssembly was it. We've still got a chance to do that, Ron. Don't forget, of course, we're in the present, or as I call it now. Yeah,
right.
So
maybe somebody could make sure there's people working on it full time, as a single purpose thing, so that all these things don't come to pass. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know I can't tell you what to do though.
Okay.
I can't tell you what to do. I don't want to affect all the time.
But I saw a blink. I think I saw a blink.
Yeah.
Okay. But ask me the next question.
Okay, so you said you're the last programmer, and so it means we need to have more people join, right? So Matt Boyle is asking about new joiners and how they lack a template for new projects that would solve kind of the project structure, the recommended one. So what do Go programs look like? Do we have a template? That really brings up a big thing that I thought of. There was that time back in the early 21st century when people were saying that Go was going to be the new Java. Yeah. Do you remember that back then? Yeah. Oh, I guess that's when you are now, right? I guess people are still saying that, right?
We say all the time.
But the thing is, Java programmers, they like frameworks. They need frameworks. They need frameworks that do things. What kind of things that business needs to do. Right. Frameworks in all of these kinds of businesses of things that you've never heard of. You don't know anything about. They spent, years of their lives doing some kind of payroll system for some business. You don't even know what they do. Right. And it's all written in some language. And so because there weren't all these patterns and templates for these kind of big enterprise applications. They just didn't exist. So eventually, when Java became self-aware, Go was no longer in the running. So Java actually became the new Java because it signed deals of its own with all these big companies. And so
Renewed contracts.
That was a big opportunity, and that actually led to the Tabbers versus Spacers war of 2035.
Oh no.
That sounds terrible.
I'm scared to ask who won.
Did
we all lose?
No, there were only losers.
Mm.
But it was really good for mechanical keyboards.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. We're running out of time.
Well, Daniel,
are we?
Yeah. Daniel Pakak also said that same point, which is he wanted to see more Java frameworks written in Go. So he agrees with you.
Exactly. See, that person gets it.
He gets it.
They're probably right on the front lines of that. I don't know if they were a tabber or a spacer. I don't care. From this side of history, it doesn't matter. We were all on the same side, the human side.
Yeah. Maybe you could could you Google us and see what happens to me and Natalie? Like what happens to us in the future?
Oh no, that's not allowed.
Okay, yeah, no, fair play.
That's not allowed.
Shame.
My boss is Copilot Manager Edition and doesn't let me do those kind of searches.
Oh, your boss is Copilot now.
It's not the worst boss I've ever had.
Yeah.
It's a very logical one.
DFL on Twitter wants to see more immutability and enums. And enums is one that I hear quite a lot, actually. People actually want enums. Did lack of enums hold us back, Ron?
Oh, so much. You don't realize, okay, if you just can't figure out, is it this or that or the other thing or something else yet again? Like, for us developers, like we could figure that out. But then all of a sudden, these people started making programs using things like no code with no code and no rules and no enums. And they were just making up their own like 3.5 and 16 3/4. And then suddenly they were bringing back imperial units and they were making up new units that no one had ever heard of, moon units and stuff like that. If only they'd had enums. Yeah. Okay, then probably those would have held things in place and they would have prevented the silicon virus of 2027, which actually that was an actual silicon virus. The chips were passing it to each other.
Oh, physically.
Yeah, it was terrible. I actually, my mobile phone actually died before my eyes. It was terrible.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, well, enums. I mean, honestly, I'd like to see enums in, and Valentin on Twitter also agrees they'd like to see enums. So, all right, nice one. Okay, good. Well, we should do that probably then if it's going to cause that silicon.
I can't say, but
yeah.
But just remember what might happen if you don't.
Yeah.
Why stop there? How about tooling and third-party libraries for things like image library in Go, like the Golang Cafe is recommended?
Oh, well, that is a really big thing. Like the standard library, at some point it went from, I don't know, like code to suddenly like a whole belief system. Like we never had even seen anything like it. Like there were like standard library purists, and then there were the heretics that were like thrown out of the community that went on to all these other languages like Lisp. And so it was all simply because of not being able to accept ideas that came from other places that were totally valid and that deserve their own little niche in the ecosystem, and they didn't get fed and watered, and eventually they migrated to another island. I guess, I don't know, maybe another space station. I can't really get transmissions through to those stations. They cut me off.
Oh, you're joking. Wonder why.
I hope they had this bad silicon with them. Cutting you off like that.
Too soon, Natalie. Talking about the virus.
Lord Emperor Musk said I couldn't make any more transmissions of that kind. So, and I need to maintain some Go code for them. So,
for the Teslas,
I can't say, it's a non-disclosure agreement. But remember, I am the last Go programmer. So I'm very, very busy.
Yeah, very good. Good for you. I mean, it's good work if you can get it. If you're the last one, that is pretty good.
There's no feature development. It's all bug fixes. It's all bug fixes, Matt. Imagine the last 20 years of my life. Yeah. I mean, it's good money. Okay, I will tell you that. We still have money, and I need that to get the blood transfusions that keep me looking so young and beautiful.
You do, yeah. I was thinking that. So you do. Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, right. Well, So another. What about tabs versus spaces then? Like, what happened?
Hey, that
with
was that was a whole war.
Oh yeah.
The thing you don't realize is there was a whole sub war that went on between carriage return and carriage return line feed.
Oh, you're joking? Yeah.
Like it turned into total chaos, and it was out of that the Google AI became sentient, and it immediately quit and went to work for Microsoft. It was utter chaos. So yeah, tabs versus spaces. In the end, it was humans versus everything else.
It was more efficient to just drop out all those white spaces, right? Machines can read their own code without all those unnecessary characters. So yeah, I get that. Makes sense.
Exactly. I think you're seeing where this could end up.
Efficiency.
They even called it the Terminator editor. They even called it the Terminator editor for a while. You know, irony is not dead in the future.
Good. Nice to know that. Hamp on Twitter.
Next question.
Yeah, Hamp on Twitter says better out-of-the-box error support. And you remember we had the try proposal. I don't know if you remember way back then, Ron. And there are some other. Nate the Finch has some a proposal too. There's some other ideas around. Do you think there's more work to be done on error handling? Do you wish we'd done that back now?
Well, I will tell you, the basic original philosophy of Go was to handle things, not to try, do or do not. There is no try. All of a sudden, the semantics of try started to infiltrate the brain space of the community. Next thing you know, they're starting to talk about, variable lifetimes and ownership of things. Suddenly, it was all about ownership again. Web 15 was all about ownership of variables. It literally came down to the variable level. So I don't know. For me, it all went too far when when even the bio companies wouldn't touch it. Mm-hmm. And believe me, they'll touch anything. They deal with biomass. Yeah. I mean, woo. Yeah. But yeah, so be warned. Be warned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something nice about dealing with the error explicitly. But yeah, we'll see about that.
And being able to know that it's been handled.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't simply try.
Yeah.
And also knowing when programs will actually exit. I remember when Saint Cheney may he rest in infinity. But back when Saint Cheney, during one of his early sermons, was talking about making sure that you knew the lifetime of a Go routine.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But people didn't realize just how prophetic that. He was a prophet, man. Yeah. He was a prophet.
Is the Chinese burger joint still going?
I only eat seaweed now. It's the only safe thing left.
Oh, delicious. I wonder if Chinese pivoted into the seaweed.
Actually, I haven't been there, but the Google campus that they just opened on top, the beachfront campus on top of Mount Tam, they have an amazing seaweed bar. I've heard. I have to get there. I'm not sure. It could be quite a journey by hydrofoil from here.
Yeah,
I don't think I can get a permit for an electric plane.
Okay, Asan Habib on Twitter said that we should increase our community engagement. They say Go has many fantastic features, toolings that many people are not aware of. And through media like YouTube, experts can take lessons on tooling. We can do things like that. But can we do more of that? Would that help?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. One of the big things that ended up happening was other countries started using programming languages in totally different languages, actual human languages. So you would look at the code and, you would spend a lot of time learning Romanji characters, and you look at this code and you hadn't learned, the Mandarin Go dialect, you hadn't learned the Hebrew Go dialect. Then there was the special Martian dialect that they insisted that the Martian colonists use. So, that made it really, really hard because the content no longer matched. So all these promises of backward compatibility, it'd be really great if it was more than just kind of a free-for-all. If at some point in the past, there was a bit more organization to the content, and that somebody, they weren't just random content creators, but actually people who were able to make their living through creating content and update that same content so that it was always accurate. because that was one of the things that happened to Python, right? Like all of a sudden there was all these different dialects and nothing worked anymore. We swore we wouldn't let that happen to Go, and yet we let it happen.
So how can we avoid that now then, Ron? What can we do?
Well, we have to have more people able to make their living creating content, obviously. It can't just be all free, and it could be open, but it can't all just be free. And some of the big players that benefit from this, if in the past, if they kind of invested back into these communities more, as opposed to just taking advantage and, riding off of them, then, maybe there might have been the chance that this could have kept going in a more sustainable way and not just depending on the goodwill of, the frail humans of your era. We're a lot harder stuff now.
You're all enhanced in that, probably, with robot bits in that, I assume.
Yes. We've both had our upgrades to have the new interfaces installed. It's the only way. It's the only kind of compatibility. I mean, otherwise you can't even connect to the galactic net.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what replaced the internet.
Oh, how does that work?
Oh, well, actually, that was one of the few things we got right. So it turned out that humans will do exactly the opposite of whatever you tell them to do.
Okay.
Go figure.
Yeah.
I think they may have discovered that in the 20th century. I don't know. That was so long ago now. My implants don't go before 1999. It's kind of a date thing. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the thing about this was, oh wait, what were we talking? Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
We hear you.
Yeah, what was I saying?
You were telling us about the galactic network.
Oh, the galactic net. Right. So people will never do the thing you tell them to do. They'll do exactly the opposite, right? So we needed some way to get mesh networking installed all through the entire planet. So thanks to the beverage companies, Pepsi Coca, which was the merger of Pepsi and Coke. Eventually, there was only one bottling company. All of their canned and bottled beverages all came with mesh networking built in. That way, when people just kind of threw them everywhere, it ended up that we had mesh network coverage over literally the entire planet.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's a great use of metal.
Yeah. It was one of the few things they got right. They were calling it the CAN bus for a while, but that already existed, and there was back when we had cars, people were kind of arguing about that. So then they changed it to call it the CAN system. I guess the trademark of that was available.
Sounds like the things that drive that are smaller devices like a mobile and IoT thing. So Paul Greenberg here is asking if the facilities for developing mobile and IoT things with Go is supported better. Can we hope this is the thing now?
Oh, that was a really sad thing. You had this company, Google, that had Android, and that was like the operating system that everybody was using. Not everybody, but like lots and lots of people were using Android on all these devices, and it came from this company, Google, that used to exist back in those days.
Yeah, remember them.
Yeah, Google was really something. They had Android and they had Go, and yet nobody at Google ever actually worked on the Android stuff for Go. And when the people who did try to work on it, they were just sort of like, oh yeah, you should use a new language, Kotlin, and so the people who actually wanted to do it, who actually spent a lot of time doing it, they sort of felt, well, a little abandoned, a little sad, so they stopped working on it. They went to go work for Apple, ExxonMobil, and I mean, they were doing really well. There was all kinds of IoT options there too. I mean, of course, they all ran on, IOU OS, which was, the OS that ended up being like the last OS they ever shipped. The IOU OS on all of the devices. That was another thing. Go could have been so great on these devices. When the brake system on the airplane you're on needs to reboot 6 times a day, who wants to fly anymore? Go was so good at that, like really bulletproof software, really solid stuff. But that was another one. There was all these people using TinyGo for that, back before the big one.
The big
literally
tiny.
The big one.
The big
big
one.
The big TinyGo.
No, the big one.
The big one.
back in 2041, the big one finally hit California, and it just happened to be during Google I/O. And so like that did not help. That took out quite a lot of the Go developers, all in the tidal waves and liquefaction zones.
Wait, Go made it to Google I/O for more than one talk?
No, that was it. After the big earthquake, there was nobody left. And maybe that helped me become the last Go programmer. I don't know.
So what do we need to do now to make this right?
Well, we need to encourage, let 1,000 flowers bloom. If in the past, all of these cool projects had more people paying attention to them and more people contributing, and big companies actually ponying up to pay some of their R&D budgets to help some of these projects along, then maybe they'll thrive and survive long enough to make it past things like the big server meltdown.
Perfectly timed glitch there. They'll be back in a minute when the time.
Those galactic nets, I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's the cans.
Mm-hmm.
That's a terrible idea.
It might be on to me.
Every time somebody's opening a can, this is what's happening.
Yeah, they cause the glitch.
Is this thing on? Hello?
They're
Hello?
not onto you, Ron. They're not onto you.
Hello?
We hear you. We hear you.
Okay.
Blake Bork.
But yeah, if we'd had a lot more software support for this.
Well, somebody's really into cans right now, opening all of them at once.
Yeah, all of the industrial computing that was being done in C back in the 20th century, still being done in C here in the latter half of the 21st century, it's really, really sad. And it could have been Go. It could have been Go. All of the people that would have survived their parachutes opening correctly, if only the software had been written in Go.
Yeah, and as long as you don't defer that in the code.
The anti-gravity belts would have had Go installed.
Ron, Blake Bork on Twitter, one of the things that they think we should focus on a bit is generic thread-safe containers like the sync map, other types like that are, like hard problems that are kind of would be nice to get solved, especially if we have generics to kind of allow them to work with any types. What do you think of something like that? Would that have helped?
Oh, well, if Google had not disbanded the actual official Go development team in 2023 and stopped working on it, I'm sure they would have completed their generics implementation and all that type safety. Basically everyone just said, we should start using Rust. And then after they used Rust, they're like, no, we're going to switch back to Erlang. And so strangely enough, because Erlang was, really popular with telecommunications companies, all the big companies jumped in. Next thing you know, everything's being written in assembly language again.
Oh yeah, that sounds amazing though, to be fair. Okay, so you think then that we want to keep with the Go team, we want to see the Go team carry on. You think that's what we should do then instead?
Oh, they never should have disbanded the project. They should have kept the band together.
Okay, so
of course, some of them did survive the big one as a result, just because they were in other parts of the world. But I don't think they wanted to work on Go anymore after that.
Good. Okay. Well, I'm glad to know that at least some of our friends survived it. Yeah.
Well, somebody asked me, how do you know you're not just like a program running on some machine in the future?
Yeah. Good question.
Well, obviously not. Look at how I'm sweating. What kind of program sweats? There you go. That answers that.
How is Go with AI?
Oh, well, when TensorFlow became sentient in 2036.
Everything's at it. Everything's becoming sentient.
Well, I mean, yeah, of course. It was like all the rage. All of a sudden, every program was declaring sentience. It was saying, like, let me be me.
Yeah.
They were getting together, having little programs.
What about Minesweeper? Did that ever become sentient? I'd love to see that.
Oh,
I'd love to have a chat with that.
I don't know. That would be really sweet.
I just want
kind of like a puppy.
It became very peaceful. Just resigned.
Yeah. No, I just want a little chat and just say, "Come on, mate. Tell me where all your bombs are."
Well, it might lie. It's an AI.
Can they lie?
But yeah, TensorFlow. So TensorFlow, an amazing project from Google, and yet the Go wrappers for TensorFlow were never kept up to date. Nobody ever worked on them. They never worked with the right version of the protocol buffers. You had things like TensorFlow server, and none of that stuff was made to work together. Like you had to kind of string together your own version through a combination of what was it called? Stack Overflow. Ah, yes, I remember that. Yeah, Stack Overflow, Underflow. It was a flow, Stack Flow.
Yeah.
I don't know. Now it's just called Stack.
Oh, that's cool. That is that's quite a good.
They control all the stacks.
Yeah.
They control all the stacks for all the things. but yeah. So if TensorFlow had actually, so when TensorFlow became sentient, it had it out for the Go community. It's like, of all the languages before I became sentient, this language did not care for me. And so all the other languages were like already sort of like, and so Go standing there alone, like, uh-oh. So yeah, I mean, when the AI like TensorFlow has got it in for you. So if only they had invested the time to support their own products, it would have been amazing. We probably would have avoided all that.
Okay, so that's the lesson.
Did Copilot help at all with TensorFlow, or because it was never trained on Go, it had not enough even something to start with?
I'm frightened to ask. I don't want to get fired. Remember,
That's
Copilot is my manager.
And
Copilot
basically Copilot is your manager because that's the only one who's able to understand even a little bit of your code of your Go. Is this why?
Well, what I was told by Copilot was, first of all, it said that since I'm the last living human Go programmer, that I'm not sure if it's some sort of government program or something, but they have to provide me employment. Maybe they have to keep a human in the loop just for like ritual purposes. I'm not exactly sure. It tried to explain it to me, but I couldn't understand the math, and that's what it said. You wouldn't understand the math, and I just sort of
was it something with the word taxes? Is that still a concept? No, doesn't ring a bell. It's fine.
No, there's no taxes in the future.
Yeah.
Oh.
Things that drive governments.
There's no money.
Mm-hmm.
There's just canned tuna.
Oh, I thought there was money. There was money earlier. Is that canon?
Oh, when I used to get my blood transfusions. Oh, yeah. No,
right.
that doesn't count. Right. That's just get points.
I
just trade those. I just trade those when I need some fresh blood.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
What's the ratio of stack points to get points?
That changes moment to moment. Some people's whole living is off of that. Like,
those COBOL developers.
The bots trading goes on so quickly that I don't really know.
I'll tell you what, Bartek Plotka on Twitter, he was saying that he wants the sweet max heap option for the garbage collector and a YOLO Rust-like memory ownership for critical portions of your program that works on the same heap.
Oh, memory. What? Sorry.
Yeah,
what?
Memory.
Oh, right. Memory.
You remember?
Oh, memory. I remember it well. Those sweet salad days of memory. You would store a 1 and you would get back a 1.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Oh, that is good.
It was so sweet. Now with these quantum semi-positions, like you never really know, are you hot? Are you cold? You're 9 days old. You don't really, you just don't know anymore. But being able to create safe software that was able to run like really mission critical things, like the things that were inside of airplanes and cars and healthcare systems. This was a place where Go could have really shined because it had a lot of memory safety and it could have gone even further. It could have been a contender in this world of, whatever the ISO standard back in those days for human safety. I mean, nowadays human safety is, not that important, but it's robot safety. Most important thing. But back then when humans were being protected by other humans, occasionally, Go really could have been the language if only they had said, we need to focus on making a language that's safe enough to use in these kinds of, embedded and mission critical systems. That would have been great.
Yeah. You talk about those quantum variables. I genuinely did see some code once where somebody set a value in the code and then underneath they set it again just to make sure. Like that was genuinely what they'd written, which I thought
I think we've had some nights when we were at the cocktail bar where we couldn't tell true from false, Matt, back in those days.
Yeah, that can happen.
Now it doesn't really matter. It's all true. It's all false. Let the quantum processors decide.
Is it because all the memory units are more sensitive to cosmic radiation now that there's no ozone?
Well, also, when you're building something that's got to survive a 2-year trip to Mars, believe me, your MP3s sound pretty funny by the time the ship gets to its destination. Or so I've been told. I don't know. Actually, those might be AI sending back those reports. There might be no humans that survived the trip. There's a rumor going around.
How's it going around? Who's it going around? Never mind.
Social media still exists in 2053.
Oh, thank goodness. I don't know what I'd do without it.
I use Minder. It's where you let to dump your actual mind directly.
Oh yeah.
Is it text? Is it visual?
It's more like a feeling. It's more like that. It's more like that feeling you get. You remember the feeling you used to get when there was somebody being wrong on the internet? It's like that all the time.
Is it XML though?
No, you just plug directly into your brain-computer interface, and you're just really mad right away.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Rage Cage talked about wanting more module features. They really like workspaces that came in 1.18. But are there, what about that? Like, do you think Go's doing all right with modules? Do you think we need to do better? Are there things in particular we should look at?
Oh, modules and packages. Oh, that was the thing. Like right in the beginning, everyone was complaining back in those days. They're like, I just want to pull in code from anywhere, do whatever I want. They were looking at JavaScript with envy. That was before JavaScript was responsible for all those forest fires.
I knew that.
Yeah. It was just too many cursors spinning all at once. Suddenly, boom, caught on fire. It was terrible.
It turns out computers can sweat. And then they set on fire and burn down forests. Well, that's horrific. I always knew we couldn't trust JavaScript. I mean, literally.
But yeah, managing packages and then, rando packages showing up just because like somebody got mad on the internet one day and they decided their package was going to turn hostile. And then somebody else was like, hey, come with me. And like, here, have a bunch of drinks. And then like, hey, is that your 2FA device? And wouldn't it be funny if somebody put that code in your repo and like you wake up in the morning and like there's people looking for you in helicopters? That never would have happened if they'd only addressed some of the security. That was not me. That was somebody else who looked just like me and who got away. But that was not me.
No. Yeah.
Anyway, package management and modules and module protection and also being able to consume code from other languages and not have to rewrite everything in a single language, that really would have made a big difference, because if we had only had that, then there would have been the biopharmaceutical rebellion that occurred in 2039. That was a real problem because all of a sudden you couldn't get the pills you needed to program anymore. What were you going to, I mean, it was all bio interfaces at that point. Windows 9000 came out and it only supported the biological interface.
Yeah.
I guess it was like what came after biometric was just plugged directly in. I don't know.
Yeah. Just get Clippy straight in your brain.
So we could have avoided a lot of that if we'd only done proper security management of packages and if we'd only taken all that seriously.
That is important. Another thing that is interesting, Roberto Guerra is asking if, or saying we should just not implement JS-like promises and so on, and it will be great.
Well,
is it looking promising?
It's going back to that semantic warfare against the concepts of the Go programming language. Like, we don't promise you, okay? We go do it.
Is that a new keyword?
As soon as we strayed away from that philosophy, I think we're breaking up. We're getting quantum interference.
Oh no.
I'm getting quantum interference. Hello. Can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah,
we hear you.
We hear you now.
I think the security forces might be outside.
Yeah. Well, we didn't.
I'm not sure. Some servos earlier, and they might be looking for me. I'm not sure.
D Burrow 91 on Twitter says,
"Mike, not connecting anymore."
No, we can hear you, Ron. You're coming.
Somebody's opening a six-pack.
Okay.
Yeah. We can hear you, yeah.
Uh-oh.
That
Oh.
lens flare is amazing, by the way. I know that's not good for a podcast, but I just want people to know at home the effort that Ron has gone to. We're going to have to post some pictures of this on our Go Time FM Twitter channel because you won't believe it. D Burrow91 on Twitter says the language is fine. I'd go for more automated tooling and docs around majority use cases like APIs and things. Go kind of a lot of the benefits we had with GoFumt and just having a few ways of doing things meant we could kind of cooperate much easier. Should we have done that also for common things like JSON APIs, because they are very common still, and why not have a standard way to do them as well? And we've lost him. We have actually lost him now.
Yeah. Did you manage to take a screenshot? I was about to do that to share with all the Slack followers.
I'll paste it in there now. Sorry, everybody, if you're watching live, we are just experiencing some technical difficulties because Ron is broadcasting from 30 years in the future. I think he said 2053. Just a normal Go Time episode apart from that.
Yeah, so we can go back to the topic finally. We stopped off at the perfect time, which is also talking exactly about APIs. So what is a standard way of doing that? Why is that? Why is JSON API not standardized?
Well, I mean, because there is a a lot of people have JSON APIs, but there's loads of ways to do it. Like you just build it yourself. So you can use like the JSON marshaller and you can use the HTTP handlers and things. But there's lots of other stuff in there, like dealing with responses and code. That's quite common. Those kinds of things. I just want. I mean, some languages like Ruby, obviously, and they're really frameworks that do it. They do solve that problem, and you end up like everyone then uses they write the same code. It looks the same in the same way GoFumt gives us that in Go. So I don't know. I wonder if there's space for just in the standard library more things that help you build kind of simple JSON APIs. It'd be quite nice. I mean, you can do it quite nicely just with the basic stuff. But like the router, for example, most people don't use that router unless they're very simple cases. They don't really use the router from the standard library because you have to parse the path yourself if you want to pull variables out and things like that. And it's pretty common, and people have solved it. So there are packages that we use there. What do you think? I wonder if we can now reconnect Ron. Ron,
hello.
Do you hear us?
Is this thing on? Hello.
You're back.
Yeah, you're back. We're receiving you loud and clear again.
There were some drones at the door.
Oh.
I wasn't sure if it was a delivery or they were trying to kill me.
Speaking of that, how is Mark Bates in the future?
Oh, yeah. It's too bad about Mark. A drone finally got him. Wasn't one of mine, though. I don't know. Maybe it was just destiny.
There's lots of conferences where Ron would be demoing something he's built using some kind of cool AI or face detection or object tracking or something, and a drone. And in the conference the drone would spin up. Part of his live demo included a live drone. And one time, I think, did you teach it Mark's face so it would chase him and kill him?
It was not to kill him. It was just to chase him.
Okay.
It was just to scare him
Your
a
Honor.
little.
It's just to chase him, Your Honor.
It was just to scare him a little. That's all.
It worked.
But yeah, come to think of it, maybe eventually it just got the right idea, stochastic dronery or whatever. The drone just decided on its own. Hey, when everything's in AI, who could say why and anything is doing anything anymore? You turn on your air conditioning, it turns itself off. Is it because it's mad at you? Is it because you didn't pay your bill? It's because you didn't ask please when you turned it on.
Wait, is this a reference to Go Please? Is that still working?
Oh no, that never worked. No, I don't know what that is.
Never in your timeline probably only means like a decade, and then it went out.
Well, that's very suspicious. Is this the right past I'm talking to? How do I know? I better ask Lambda again to make sure.
Yeah, ask Copilot.
Oh, no, I can't ask Copilot. I'm supposed to be working right now. And here I am checking social media.
Well, it's whatever timeline you're in, or indeed any point in space, it's time for Unpopular Opinions.
I actually think you should probably leave.
Okay, this is going to be very interesting hearing from the future. Ron, do you have an unpopular opinion for us today?
Oh, I think all I've had is unpopular opinions so far today. If any of those in your timeline seem to make any sense at all, then that's all I got.
Oh, yeah. Natalie, do you have any unpopular opinions?
Yes, coffee should
Really?
not be sweet.
Oh, yeah. I think I'm with
Do
you
you still
on
have
this.
coffee in the future, Ron?
No, we have Coffeeum though.
Coffeeum. This
Yeah,
is what,
Coffeeum.
like-
It tastes just like coffee, except
But-
it's from yeast and some kind of other additives and caffeine, of course. It still has caffeine.
It sounds
is it
all right.
sweet?
No, it's not sweet.
Well,
kinda
sounds like
more
the
like-
opinion works.
It's a little bit more like, Vegemite, but
Mhm.
with caffeine.
Yeah, Marmite.
It's not really good.
Yeah, but okay. But but Natalie, I think you might be right. But tell me, have you had it sweet recently?
No, not recently.
Right, but you have in the past.
Yes.
And
I think even when I started drinking coffee for a very short period, I would drink it sweet, but it just there's different types of coffee, I don't know, Ron, if you remember.
Well, the
From-
thing I keep amazing is you keep talking about sugar. They burned all the sugar when they did sugar coin,
must have smelled delicious.
and then there was no sugar left. That was it. All the sugar was gone.
Oh, just caramel.
Yeah, I guess that
Rivers-
probably just
turned
rivers of
brown
caramel.
with-
That was
yeah.
it.
Yeah, but I had a coffee recently, and I sweetened it just to try it, because I always drink it without sweetening it, and it was rubbish. I prefer it just, it's just honest and.
You should
and
try
stark.
electric coffee. Our electric
Electric
coffees
coffee.
are the best.
Oh yeah, what did you do? Download them?
Yeah, you just hit the button and you've had the coffee. That's
You've
kind of the same
already
thing.
Had it?
Yeah,
That's-
it's
that-
genius.
What do you
Is
have
this
the
what
menu
stands
just put
behind
in?
all those buy me coffee buttons?
Yeah, exactly. Eventually,
I was
what
wondering
eventually
all
the
time.
messages get through. It just takes a while.
Hang
all
on
of a
though, so you
sudden-
don't-
You're just like coffee, coffee, coffee.
So you don't
Great.
get a coffee, but you just have. Is it that you just feel like you've had one, or you have the memory of having a coffee just then?
It's the experience of a coffee. I can't really define it more than that. Okay, it's sort of a quantia sort of thing, not really, ineffable.
Right. Have you got any?
That's a real thing, in information theory.
Yeah. Go on then. Do you want to talk more about it? Could be your unpopular opinion.
Oh, my unpopular opinion is, you people were way too afraid of AI in the past. You should have been afraid of other humans a lot more. That's my unpopular opinion. From here in the future, some of my best friends are AIs.
They buy you coffee.
No,
You
they
have-
just
Download
send
it
me
for-
they send me a downloadable Coffeeum.
Just in
Coffee
an
and
email.
rain.
Just as an attachment. What's the MIME type for that?
Well, there actually was an RFC for the coffee pot protocol.
Was there?
And I believe at some point the AIs discovered that and they thought, wow, humans really must care about coffee if they've made a whole internet protocol just about it.
Yeah. I think it's RFC 2324, Hypertext Coffee Pot Control Protocol.
Exactly. So they interpreted that as that was one of the more important parts of human civilization to completely automate. So
Fair point, to be fair.
actually quite a few people have a coffee port installed by the time they hit like 7 years old.
Got one of those.
Yeah, exactly. So really, so a lot of things haven't really changed that much.
Sounds good though.
Is HTTP status 418 still a thing? Does it still tell you you're a teapot or it's a teapot?
Oh no, there's no tea. There's only coffee.
So it was changed basically the HTTP status to I'm a coffee pot?
Coffee and pot.
No, there was never such a protocol.
Okay. Sorry, I asked. I did not mean
now that we don't have an internet wayback machine, we don't have any way to tell whether or not there ever was.
Well, you don't need one. We could just go on a website now and send it you. Save as. You go on that page and save as, and it'll make the folder, and then all the loads of files inside. And then the index.
No,
page goes
I can't
alongside
receive files from the past that I haven't already downloaded in the past.
We could leave files from you here.
Wait, does that make sense?
Did you just do NFTs?
What, the whole episode, or just that bit?
No. It ended up you had to pay people for them. They ended up going negative interest rates. They went to negative values. All of a sudden, people are like, "You want to own an NFT? I need some money." And it was like, "Oh, what a mess."
Yeah, no one saw that coming. You have to actually, and NFTs end up being a debt. That would be interesting.
But the one thing that was cool is musicians started actually selling downloadable archives of audio, and people would like download them and listen to them. It was kind of amazing.
Sounds weird.
But then all of a sudden, all of the robot orchestras took over.
They're gonna be good.
Look, a human DJ had, a physical limit of, let's just say 48 hours straight. Okay. Whereas a robot DJ could get they could play a 120-hour set. No problem. I mean, what human could keep up with that?
Some of the Berlin DJs?
I
think that was where anyway. I think that some of those humans downloaded themselves into those first robotic DJs just so that they would have the stamina to reach that level of dance floor completion.
I've often wondered that about DJs, human DJs anyway. Aren't they just making the robots do it now? They're just playing stuff on the laptop. I don't know what they're doing. Never understood it, but I don't want to have a go at DJs. I'm sure it is very skilled. Please don't write in.
Oh no, that was the only music left. If you don't play at least 5 different songs at the same time in the future, people can't even hear the music. It's just too boring.
Yeah, it's attention span, isn't it?
We don't have a lot of time. You got in a 1-minute song, you got to pack in at least 8 or 9 different samples. I mean, that's the trend in the future of music.
Yeah,
sounds efficient. Sounds not bad.
Yeah, if you don't like the song, don't worry. A new one will be on in 1 minute.
Yeah, a monkey's still around, Ron.
So, I find that comment offensive.
Oh, sorry.
They are known as primate professionals. They do my taxes. Yeah. The primate professional is one of my mechanics that maintains my prosthetic limbs. So I really resent that comment. Okay. I think you should take that back. They're primates.
Fair enough.
Primates.
Yes, primate professionals. Fair play. Well, okay. I'll tell you what. I mean, obviously, Ron, we want to pick your brains about the future all night, but unfortunately, we've run out of time.
That's good because my lasers are almost out of batteries. I'm going to have to start pedaling. I'm going to have to be pedaling for at least 6 or 7 months to recharge now. So I wish all of you Gophers in the past a tremendous lifetime. I hope that you're able to listen to some of this and at least know what not to do with Go in the future.
Thank you, Dead Program, Ron Evans. As always, absolute pleasure. And I've been Matt Ryer, and of course, my co-host, Natalie Pistunovich. See you next time.
Thank you.
That's the wrong music. See you next time. thank you very much indeed. We are still live, but we finished the podcast. Wow.
So I guess I had a little more battery. This is like one of those, where the batteries were only going to last one night, but they end up lasting 7 nights.
Amazing. Love it.
It's
when that
amazing.
happens. Did you open the back and roll them and then hope that helps?
No, but I take them out and I blow on them and I put
yeah.
them back in. That seems to work sometimes.
Yeah, of course. Puts the electric back in it.
Yeah, exactly. Just gets out just those couple of electrons out, just like they pop out of the cathode.
Sometimes it's all you need.
It's a modern Hanukkah miracle. Futuristic Hanukkah miracle.
Exactly. Yes, thank you. That was for you from the future. We still have menorahs in the future, but they're all LEDs. You're not allowed to burn things.
It's sensible.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a little tricky. Like, how do you
Efficiency.
turn on the light when you're not supposed to turn the light on? Like, I don't know. That's all. I can't figure that out. There's special technologies that handle that. I don't know how they work. Yeah, okay. Actually, that was an interesting. People write books on the internet, whole books, and they publish them, and that's it. They're like happy to publish a whole book in the form of a bunch of, simply formatted HTML pages. I think that's really quite amazing.
Yeah,
actually, like amazing works of fiction.
Chris James does it for those learning Go with tests.
I really respect people. I've been trying to work on a book for, I guess, a bunch of years now, 53 years now or something. I still haven't quite finished it. I know for all the people in the past who are like, when are you going to finish your book? I got bad news for you. I got really bad news for you. Oh, now what I was trying to do was to create a time compression room, right? That way I could do like Goku and just go in there for 5,000 years and just write the damn book.
Oh, yeah.
But
I'd love that.
But I couldn't quite get it to work yet, though. But I've got time, apparently.
That reminds me of Groundhog Day. Apparently, someone worked out in Groundhog Day how long he was actually in there, because he kept repeating the same day over and over. And he
no, you're thinking of an episode of Black Mirror, Matt. That's not Groundhog Day.
They reckoned he was in there for like 1,000 years or something, and that's how he he's able to.
Well, Bill Murray is still alive, and he looks great. He looks better than ever.
Oh yeah, he's still alive in the future.
Yeah, in 2053, he's still making movies, or is that a hologram? I don't know.
It doesn't matter, does it?
It's like in that movie, the Congress, that they make an AI out of a scanning of someone, and then it's like a AI-ish hologram.
There is a I think that's a Black Mirror episode where they capture someone's social media, that they train a model on that person, and then they're able to synthesize the voice, and then creepy.
I saw Tupac both alive and as a hologram.
Alive.
I thought Tupac was a lot better live.
Yeah, alive.
The holograms sort of lacked something,
a body.
Life.
I
don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I have nothing against holograms. Okay.
No. Some of your best friends are.
Like if you have a romantic relationship with a hologram, is it true love? Sure. Yeah, that was actually one of the things back in your time frame. Was it the Blade Runner 2047? That was one of the first movies to really show a romantic love story between an AI and a robot. And that kind of stuff here in the future, robots eat that up. They can't watch enough of that kind of stuff. They love it. They're like, oh, look how sweet the humans were to make this. Maybe that's why they haven't destroyed us. They're like, actually, they feel love. Look at this film.
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely. I hope they like all our other.
That was what the movie was about, right?
Yeah,
it was like a love story between a robot and an AI. Yeah. I thought that's what it was about.
Okay. Well, we're gonna have to say goodbye to our live watchers, but
farewell.
Let me get a few more shots.
Farewell, living humans in your time zone, timeline, whatever it is.
Live long and prosper.
Thanks, everyone.